You didn't lose interest in life. You just stopped falling for its tricks. There is a strange kind of emptiness that begins precisely when you get what you wanted. The job finally comes. The message you kept checking your phone for appears. The money reaches your account. You arrive in the city you spent years imagining. Someone finally chooses you. And then, sometimes within days, sometimes within minutes, a disturbing thought appears. Is that all? Not because the achievement was fake. It happened. The pleasure was real too. It simply didn't last as long as the promise that carried you toward it. So the mind quietly changes the contract. One more promotion, one more relationship, a different body, a larger number, another place, another version of yourself. And life becomes strangely similar to drinking salt water. Every fulfillment contains the instructions for the next thirst. Most people call this ambition. Others call it human nature. But what happens when you begin to see the mechanism? What happens when the prize still shines, yet you can already see tomorrow's disappointment inside it? This is where an ancient monk, a Norwegian philosopher, and a sleepless Romanian writer unexpectedly meet. The Buddha saw suffering growing from craving and attachment. Peter Wessel Zapffe believed human consciousness had become dangerously capable of seeing beyond the illusions required for ordinary existence. Emil Cioran went further into that fracture, writing from a world where lucidity could feel less like illumination than exposure. They did not reach the same conclusion. That difference matters. Because losing interest in life and seeing through some of the things that once motivated you are not the same condition. Depression is real. Anhedonia is real. Neither should be romanticized as enlightenment. Yet there remains a philosophical possibility far more uncomfortable. Perhaps some of life's flavor depends on never examining too closely how the appetite is made. And once you have seen the machinery behind desire, the hardest question is no longer how to get what you want. It is whether you can still want anything after understanding why you wanted it. Some people spend their entire lives paying for a future that, when it finally arrives, cannot refund the years. A man gives 30 years to his career. He misses ordinary dinners, answers emails beside hospital beds, postpones rest until rest becomes something his body demands rather than something he chooses. He tells himself there is a position ahead where all this sacrifice will finally make sense. Then his name appears on the office door. For a while, it feels good. Soon, it becomes where he works. This is not merely pessimism. Psychology has a name for part of this pattern: hedonic adaptation. Human beings tend to adapt to changed circumstances, including many positive ones. What once felt exceptional can gradually become ordinary. More than 2,000 years ago, Buddhist thought approached the problem from another direction. The Buddha called attention to dukkha, the dissatisfaction woven into experiences we cannot make permanent. And within its machinery sits tanha, usually translated as craving or thirst. The problem is not simply wanting something. It is asking something temporary to provide a permanent settlement inside you. Youth changes. Praise expires. Possessions become furniture. Status requires maintenance. The face you once searched for across a crowded room can, through repetition, become the face you barely look at over breakfast. Desire does something remarkably persuasive here. It borrows the emotional weight of eternity and attaches it to objects with expiration dates. That is why getting what you want can hurt in a way failure cannot. Failure preserves the fantasy. Achievement tests it. And sometimes the cruelest discovery is not that life denied you the thing you loved, but that you received it and remained unfinished. The Buddha's insight therefore cuts deeper than pleasure doesn't last. We suffer because part of us keeps negotiating with impermanence as though, eventually, it might make an exception for us. Yet this leaves a darker question. If these pursuits cannot permanently satisfy us, why are human beings so dependent on continuing to pursue them? For that, we need Zapffe. Imagine an animal that knows the funeral is coming while it is still eating breakfast. It can bury its mother and understand that the same architecture of loss is already being built beneath everyone it loves. It can stand inside a beautiful afternoon and know, at the exact moment of experiencing it, that the afternoon is disappearing. That animal is us. For Wessel Zapffe, this capacity was not simply intelligence. In The Last Messiah, he argued that human consciousness had become overdeveloped, giving us an awareness too expansive for the biological business of simply staying alive. A deer can run from death. A human being can escape the predator and spend 40 years anticipating the grave. So we developed ways of narrowing what consciousness is allowed to examine. Zapffe described 4: isolation, pushing disturbing thoughts away; anchoring, fastening existence to stable structures such as family, religion, morality, nation, career; distraction, keeping attention occupied so certain questions never receive an empty room in which to grow; and sublimation, transforming existential pain into philosophy, art, humor, literature. Seen through Zapffe, some ordinary human behavior acquires a darker underside. A person can fill every unoccupied second with notifications, videos, work, music, conversation. Not every distraction is an escape, of course. Yet sometimes there is nothing urgent on the screen. There is only something uncomfortable away from it. Consider how often people reach for their phones while waiting alone for an elevator, sitting in a restaurant, or lying awake at night. The device does not need to contain anything important. It only needs to contain something. Perhaps that is Zapffel's most disturbing suggestion. Consciousness may sometimes require protection from its own range. We build schedules, identities, ambitions, and explanations partly because an entirely unobstructed view of existence can be difficult to inhabit. And then comes the dangerous person, the one who recognizes the scaffolding while still standing on it. Because seeing your distractions is one thing. Discovering that you can no longer believe in them is another. Cioran lived inside that difference. At 3 in the morning, existence can lose its alibi. The room is dark. The street has withdrawn from you. No appointment requires your personality. No conversation asks you to perform interest. There is nothing to accomplish for the next few hours. And suddenly, you are left with the fact that you exist. Emil Cioran knew this territory intimately. He suffered prolonged insomnia in his youth, an experience that marked his writing. Across on the Heights of Despair, and later, The Trouble with Being Born, sleeplessness, boredom, consciousness, and the burden of existence return with almost surgical persistence. For Cioran, lucidity was not automatically liberation. Sometimes seeing clearly meant losing the anesthesia that made ordinary participation possible. Picture someone at a birthday party. Everyone is laughing. Glasses touch. Someone takes photographs that will later prove that everybody was happy. And in the middle of it, one person notices something terrifyingly small. They are smiling because they know when smiling belongs in the scene. Nothing dramatic happens. They continue talking. That is precisely what makes it painful. There are forms of estrangement that do not announce themselves by destroying your life. You still answer messages. You still work. You remember birthdays. You say, "I'm good," with convincing timing. Yet the old reasons no longer reach the same depth. Cioran's writing inhabits this fracture. He does not clinically diagnose it, nor should his philosophy be confused with a medical account of depression or anhedonia. He gives language to something narrower and stranger, the possibility that relentless reflection can make existence difficult to experience innocently. Once the stage machinery becomes visible, the play may continue. You simply stop forgetting that it is a play. And perhaps that is why Cioran is so unsettling. He does not merely ask whether our consolations are true. He asks what becomes of us when they stop working. Yet another man looked directly at impermanence, suffering and attachment, and arrived somewhere radically different. The Buddha found a path toward release where Cioran found reasons to remain wounded. How can the same act of seeing produce liberation in one person and torment in another? Two people can discover that nothing lasts and walk away carrying opposite worlds. One loosens his grip, the other wonders why he should keep reaching. That distance separates the Buddha from Cioran. Both confronted impermanence, dissatisfaction, and the instability of what human beings cling to. Yet recognition alone did not determine where they arrived. For Buddhist thought, seeing impermanence is part of a practice aimed at weakening attachment. The point is not merely to understand that the flower dies. It is to stop demanding that the flower violate its nature in order to satisfy yours. Cioran offers no comparable path of liberation. His lucidity repeatedly circles existence itself, examining consciousness until the instrument of examination begins to resemble the wound. Zapffe stands strangely between them. His question is almost architectural. How much reality can a human mind inhabit without constructing walls? Here, psychology makes an important distinction. Knowing something intellectually does not guarantee that your emotional responses will obey that knowledge. A person can know that rejection does not determine their worth and still ache when someone leaves. You can understand mortality perfectly and still tremble beside a hospital bed. The brain is not a courtroom where one convincing argument dismisses every older instinct. This matters because suffering can be dangerously romanticized. Losing pleasure is not proof of enlightenment. Losing motivation is not evidence that someone has seen through life. Anhedonia, a reduced ability to experience pleasure, is a recognized symptom in several clinical conditions, including depression. Philosophy can describe certain experiences. It cannot turn symptoms into spiritual credentials. Perhaps then, the deepest difference between these thinkers is not what they saw. It is what happened after seeing. Zapffe asked how consciousness protects itself. Cioran showed what it can feel like when protection fails. The Buddha asked whether the need to cling could itself be transformed. And now only one question remains. If the promises that carried you this far no longer convince you, what kind of life can exist without needing to believe them again? Imagine watching the sunrise without asking it to heal you. No revelation arrives with the light. Your losses remain losses. The people who died do not return. Your body continues toward age. Tomorrow still contains uncertainty. And yet, you stay long enough to watch the sky change. Perhaps this is where life after disenchantment begins. Not in recovering every illusion you lost, nor in pretending that existence secretly guarantees a meaning large enough to compensate for everything it takes away. Maybe it begins when you stop demanding compensation. The Buddha offers one possibility: loosen the attachment that turns change into a personal betrayal. Zapffe offers a warning. Human beings do not encounter existence without psychological structures. We organize, distract, create, belong, and transform experience into forms we can carry. Cioran leaves the wound uncovered. He prevents lucidity itself from becoming another flattering identity. Another way of telling ourselves that because we are disenchanted, we must therefore be wiser. None of them gives us permission to confuse suffering with superiority, and none can decide what your awareness becomes. Because disenchantment has no single destination. For one person, losing an old ambition creates room for attention. For another, it produces despair. For someone else, ordinary things remain. Making coffee for another person, keeping a promise nobody will applaud. sitting beside a dying parent when there is nothing left to fix. These acts do not defeat death. They do not solve existence. Perhaps they do not need to. There is a peculiar dignity in caring for something without requiring it to last forever. A musician still finishes a song although the final note begins disappearing the moment it is played. Maybe maturity is not learning how to make life taste the way it once did. Maybe it is discovering whether life must constantly taste extraordinary to remain worth touching. Because seeing through an illusion does not place you above existence. It leaves you inside existence without that particular illusion. And then the opening sentence returns differently. You didn't lose interest in life. You just stopped falling for its tricks. The real question is what remains when the tricks no longer work. Perhaps, for the first time, whatever remains is actually yours. If these ideas give you something worth carrying beyond this video, consider becoming a channel member. There are 100+ members-only videos, and a 1-month free membership trial is available. You can also support the work through super thanks. And if you can't, that's completely fine. Watching, sharing, and simply coming back already helps more than you think. Thank you for being part of this.